Hello, welcome. Happy to have you. Thank you for being here. Today, I felt like recording a video on something that I've been feeling is getting more and more important ever since, I guess, mid of December. I received the message from the Aquarians to so-called stop talking in my head, which I shared with you. And then a bit later, the message from Mary Magdalene to allow ourselves to be love magnets. And I guess I've been on another level of a crash course with regards to what it means to love myself unconditionally even further, and to love all aspects of me, regardless of the versions, regardless of the time. Let it be a younger version of me, let it be a baby version of me, let it be a version of me from yesterday. To love myself unconditionally and to love all aspects. And that new level of the crash course is helping me to have even more gratitude for this journey, to have more appreciation and respect for myself and for my journey, and especially around things that I didn't necessarily remember. So things that have happened in the past, and I'm talking about this lifetime, not talking about past lifetimes, this one, and that I didn't remember. And some of those memories my higher self orchestrated over the last few months, that I do remember them. And for me, that the reason why that is happening is because they're ready to be looked at. They're ready to maybe be released and to definitely be loved to the fullest, no matter how I might have, what might have triggered it, no matter how I might have acted, no matter what I might have done or not have done. And I noticed that it's not so much about the story anymore. The story only takes me back to my mind. The story only allows me or enables me to get even more entangled, potentially. Not all the time, but potentially. And I'm choosing that less and less. I don't want to go down that path anymore as much. Like, yes, obviously I do have family memories, for example, where I'm very much aware of the story and where I appreciate the story for that it shows me also to where I'm at today and who I have become. So I'm not saying that I'm erasing all my memories and stuff. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that for those occasions where you might have memories coming up that either you forgot or maybe they just pop in your head one day and you think like, hey, I haven't thought about this for a while. And you feel that that might be something that is present for you because it's worthwhile to be looked at, otherwise it wouldn't be happening. And so if I talk about myself, because I can only speak for myself, but obviously I'm sharing these videos to support you in that way, and so that's why I'm talking to you as well. And yes, trying to explain it the best way possible. So this morning, I had one of those occasions where I allowed myself to visualize a 10-year-old version of me, because that's a memory that came back recently. And I've been noticing over the last few days that she was seeking my attention. And I wasn't giving her that much attention for various reasons. And I thought today, this morning, like, now's really the time It's not necessarily overdue because it took the time that I needed, but now was the right time. And so this morning, I allowed myself to visualize that 10-year-old version. In that case, it was easy because I actually recently found a photo and of some holidays that I was on at that age. And so I basically remembered what clothes I was wearing, and I could see her in front of me. And so I closed my eyes and kind of visualized a hologram of that 10-year-old version of me. And as soon as I allowed that, I realized why she wanted my attention, and also that she was very unhappy. And instead of going into a conversation with her, which, sometimes they're actually, for me, words that come out or things that I feel or that I sense. But in this regard, I knew, coming back to what I said before about the story, that it wasn't so much about the story, and that it was more about me being there for her and allowing her to be held, to feel safe, and to express whatever kind of emotions she wanted to express. And that's why she sought my attention in the very first place. And so I was sitting there for quite a while, I don't remember how long, 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. And at first she was kind of sitting in my lap and just being really, really happy to be held by me. And she was crying, actually, to be totally honest. And I realized that even though obviously I have a lot of sympathy for that version of me, I also noticed that I could stay in that kind of observer role and just be with her instead of getting totally entangled in the story. And me allowing myself to visualize her like that and to hold her like that really liberated me to some extent. So after those minutes, however many they were, 15 maybe, I kind of realized and noticed that she was easing up. So at first she was crying, and then, as I said, she was sitting in my lap, and she actually moved a little. So at first it was her back leaning on my chest. That's what I sensed. And sometimes it can be the sensing element. Sometimes it's more that I visualize it in front of my inner eye. And it can be in different ways of how you can experience this. And so then she moved a little, and then she was actually more or less leaning to the side and just wanted to be totally held. And so I wrapped my arms around her and just held her and said a few soothing words and how much I love her and just being there for her. And I noticed that aspect of me that I guess projected then into that hologram really relaxed and really allowed me to feel calm and relieved afterwards. And then when I kind of felt that energy and that, those emotions moved through her and that energy kind of resided, I invited her to go grocery shopping with me. And she was happy to do that. And that was kind of a fun experience too. Not all the time like that. Maybe I will be able to do it at some point in time. But so I could visualize her, walking out of the room with me and then tapping into now and then while I was grocery shopping to visualize her next to me. And just to not forget that she's also there and that it's not just a play for me. And that version really acknowledged that. And the reason why I'm sharing that with you in detail is I think that can be really, really helpful to play with something like that. And you might feel called to do something completely different. I'm just sharing that with you openly because I found that really helpful, and I am doing more and more of that now, step by step. I haven't been doing it for very long, but I found it really, really helpful because for me, it creates that possibility to see it more from an observer perspective or from a witness, and to be less attached also specifically to the emotions. And so in case if you realize that there are some kind of experiences that you have from the past where you think, or maybe it might be yesterday, like I said before, it might be yesterday, something where you think like, hey, someone said something to me, I don't really like the way I reacted, or something along those lines. And you, whatever the experience might be for you, you know what I'm talking about. And that you play with that and see whether you can give that version of you the space, accept what happened, and then shower him or her with the most love that you have available in that moment. And maybe that hologram visualization is helpful to you. Maybe something else is helpful to you. I felt like sharing that. And in any case, it is for me a big invitation right now to love myself even more, in order to, and there is not in order to, I take that back, not in order to, so to love myself even more and more unconditionally, because there's never too much love, especially not for oneself. And especially if you've been on a spiritual journey, no matter how long really, but very likely you have been noticing that it's all about not only that it comes from within, but that it's only also very closely linked to you being in alignment and fully loving everything about yourself right now in this moment, as well as what happened in the past, and then get excited about what's to come in the future. So, by the way, that hologram tool, method, visualization that I've just been sharing is also perfect to talk to your future self. So if you feel like playing with that, it's not necessarily also always about, looking at the past and what needs to be so-called fixed. I mean, we can spend a lot of time in 4D. I've talked about that before. And so that kind of visualization for me is definitely coming from a place from pure love, which for me is the fifth dimension, where I know that I'm whole, where I know that I'm complete. And so from that space as well, it's beautiful to have a conversation with my future version. So maybe you feel like doing that, like whatever you feel called to do after watching this video. I very much appreciate you being here. And let me know in the comments what resonated with you. And in any case, I wish you a beautiful day, evening, morning, whatever it might be for you. Sending you much love. Bye.